what is up, grappling fans? Camera drop for a second. Fun off-air stuff. Here's what I can tell you guys. We have a great show for you lined up today. My name is Rafa Sparzer, your friendly neighborhood BJJ podcaster. Before we begin with our excellent hosts, it's a nice time to plug our friends over at Nogi BJJ Gear. Look at this. Just got some new shorts in. They actually fit me because, you know, COVID, a little bit of extra weight. So, highly recommend them. You can give them some love by going over to Nogi BJJ Gear and using the promotional code VerbalTap15 or Grappling Hour 15. I'm not sure which host you like better, Rafa's Verbal Tap host or Grappling Hour host. Either one will work. All right. What do we say about today's guests? Well, one, they just announced some big news over on the Instagrams, which is usually meaning that I try to follow that, keep up with them, make sure that we give them some shine time. And I'm super excited about that. One of our guests I have interviewed before. The other I have not. But here's the good news about that. I have seen him a number of times. Our circles are very similar, so it's always fun to get to see these guys do something big. And I'm very excited for them to talk about their big new reveal, their new information, their big thing that they're announcing. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show, Jon Calestine and Chris Pagliuca. How are you guys doing?
Close enough on the last name, but very good. It was good. Very cool.
In the air, and I just said it out loud.
It was good. It was close.
It's good. I know him for like 4 years. I still don't say it right. It's fine.
I mean, here's the bad news that I try to implore upon people is if they don't say my name right, I'm not going to say your name right. I just feel there's no reason to.
It's fair enough.
So let's start with this. Chris, what is the big news? What did you guys just announce over on the Facebook, or I guess also the Instagram as well?
You want to go over? Yeah. All right. So what we're doing is we just opened up a gym in Brooklyn in Flatbush. It's like a break off of the Grappling Club that already exists in Williamsburg. And we just opened up the one in Flatbush. So now there's 2 grappling clubs, and we're just getting off the ground and trying in these hard times to get the word out.
I guess that would open up a natural question, which is why open a gym at the most friendly of times to gyms in the world?
So,
good question.
Yeah. Originally, the gym was supposed to open the week that all of the COVID stuff actually started.
Oh, no.
And then because of all the COVID stuff, it got postponed. Originally, we postponed it 2 weeks because that was the original information that we got. Everybody stay on for 2 weeks and then everything will be good. 6 months later, still nothing opened. Yeah. And then now that they opened up gyms, trying to spread the word about the gym opening and of course, putting things in place to like make people feel safe, checking people's temperatures and trying to keep the rooms small and stuff like that, as well as trying to abide by like the guidelines that they're giving us. So making sure that we can fulfill those guidelines and stuff like that. And, but it got pushed back, but it wasn't originally supposed to open now. It was supposed to open before all of this started.
Around March.
Yeah.
So I could maybe make some estimations, and I'll circle back to you on this, Jon. But Chris, have you always wanted to open a gym? Has that been something on your mind? Is that something that's come up because of the opportunity? Where has opening a gym fallen on your jiu-jitsu, I guess, destiny?
I mean, yeah, I always wanted to be a part of something, and I was doing this like with that goal in mind in the future. So, I mean, I started training about 5 years ago, and then it was kind of just like a point going in that direction that I was hoping to be able to open a gym or start teaching classes somewhere eventually. But the opportunity came up, and I was like, all right, I wasn't expecting it to do it this early. I was thinking a few years down the road, but the opportunity came up, so I went with it.
So I guess the natural question is, where is it, first of all? Where are you guys exactly located?
We're on Flatbush Avenue, 1389 Flatbush Avenue in Brooklyn.
Okay. And what is this one called? Like, what is the name of the gym officially?
This one is so the one in Williamsburg is just the Grappling Club, and this one is the Grappling Club Flatbush. So just the area is naming it. And Flatbush is like, it's a good area because it's a part of Brooklyn where it's like, it's in kind of like the center, you know? So it's kind of like there's transportation and buses, trains. It's pretty good on parking. Like there's pretty much everything surrounding it. So technically you could call Flatbush like pretty much like the heart of like the Brooklyn area. Like it's literally dead center. If you look at a map, you have Flatbush and it's literally right in the middle of everything. So it's like going to like Midtown Manhattan, if you would look at it like that, where like Midtown is pretty much the midway point from both ends of the island. Like pretty much if you're looking at Brooklyn on a map, Flatbush is like the midway point between going towards Williamsburg, which is one end, and then Coney Island, which is like another end, which is where we live closer towards that end. So I feel like it's a good spot for people if they're coming from the city. It's a good spot for people if they're coming from Queens, if they're coming from Long Island, or if they're in Brooklyn. You know, it's not too bad to get, you know, from one place to the other.
That's a good sell. I like that. I like that you're trying to say like, hey, listen, if you look at a map, you'll find it real quick.
In hard times, you know.
I mean, it works, man, because everybody has to have something unique that they offer. You know, one of the big things that I tell people whenever they put up another jiu-jitsu podcast is I go, first of all, don't. And then if they proceed against my better judgment to make one, I say, well, then you better be different than the rest of us. Like you have to have a special sauce that makes you different because there's already a lot of us. So I guess I would ask you guys, what is the special sauce for your gym comparatively to other gyms, perhaps?
I mean, I would probably say, I mean, it's still the same jiu-jitsu. I mean, it's still going to be no-gi. It's mostly no-gi jiu-jitsu. It's not a lot of gi. We are going to have some gi classes, but it's mostly jiu-jitsu. I think what's going to make it unique is when people come in, I just want to create the same kind of atmosphere that I like to train in and the atmosphere that I have been training in. I kind of try to be more of like friendly with people rather than that.
Just lax.
Yeah, it's more lax atmosphere.
Like if people come in late, they're not doing 10 push-ups. We're kind of just like, whatever you want to warm up, go warm up. We also have Jon, who, in my opinion, is probably the best grappler in Brooklyn. So, I mean, that's useful.
I think it's more just the atmosphere that I would like to create because it's the atmosphere that I've sought out throughout my training and my career. So I'm trying to create that at a gym where basically I'm the head guy there, and you know, it's a lot easier for me to create that atmosphere if I'm the person that's like kind of running the show or taking charge. And then I have Chris for like the other stuff that I don't want to do.
The beginner's class, it's kids class, it's very fun.
Hey, listen, nobody ever thinks about those kid classes until they look at how financially lucrative they are to the gym. So it's a very valuable aspect of the gym. Let's not overstate that. I can't tell enough people that every time I see the kids class, like, or I'm walking in after they've had the kids class, I always do one of these, like, thank you for your service to like whoever's teaching it, because I just know like, yeah, that kid might have just hit you in the balls with like a Nerf noodle 20 times and you got to put on a good face about it. So I totally understand that is the case. If that is it, I want to go back. Jon, we've done a little bit of profile of you. We've never really gotten to know Chris on the show. Chris is your first time on this show. Actually, it's the first time on Jon's appearance on this show. Chris, tell us, where does jiu-jitsu begin? You said 5 years ago, but take us back. How did that jiu-jitsu journey begin for you 5 years ago?
So about 5-6 years ago, I decided to sign up at an MMA gym in Brooklyn. I did that on and off for about a year. I was kind of just inconsistent, started training. I was training like once a week. Sometimes I wouldn't show up for a few weeks. Sometimes I go twice a week. And I met a few guys over at that gym that also trained at Renzo's or wound up going to Renzo's. So I was like, all right, I mostly enjoy jiu-jitsu, so let me go try a class with those guys. I took a class with our coach, Daisuke, and really liked what he showed. I went back to that MMA gym the next week just for like one of my last classes, and I was leg locking a lot of the guys who I couldn't tap before. I'm like, oh, this guy's like, because he showed me one thing and it was working. So I'm like, I'm going to start over there. So I started training at Renzo's in Brooklyn, and then started going over to the city with Jon. And I don't know, I just kind of went from there and started training a lot more consistently, probably every day of the week at that point when we were in the city, twice a day. And yeah, pretty much just would go train with Jon wherever we wound up going.
So when did you know that you were officially in love with the sport? Like, when did you know that you actually said, oh man, this is more than just a hobby. This is more than just something that I want to casually do.
Maybe when you got your arm broken in half.
I
think that's a good story, when he got his arm broken in half. Because if he didn't love jiu-jitsu, he probably would have stayed home after that because that was disgusting. So tell that story. Go ahead.
Okay. I was probably like 2 years into jiu-jitsu at this point. I was like kind of fresh blue belt, and I was training in the city. And I was like, all right, I train with really good guys. Let me sign up for the expert division with all the brown and black belts. And I had a match first round. Well, to start the story, I made weight at like 145 pounds. That does count. That does count. Yes, it does. All right. So I made weight at like 145. I had to suck a little bit of weight, and it was day of weigh-ins. And then after I make weight, I come back. The guy tells me, oh, we had no one for you, so we just bumped you up to 160. So I'm a 145-pound blue belt against like the 160 brown and black belts. I go in against like a Ricardo Almeida guy. And I did well the first few minutes, but I also get super anxious competing. And I started like freaking out because he was really strong, kept like pulling away from any leg entanglements I go after. And I also had like John, Gordon, Gary, all these guys in my corner. And then he passes my guard. He goes for an arm bar. I also have like a nerve damage in one of my shoulders from when I was born. I'm not going to go too much into that right now. But so this guy gets on my bad arm. I'm trying to like come up. I feel like I could slip my arm out. And as soon as I go to slip my arm out, he extends, and my elbow just like dislocated in half. And it was basically like hanging off. And it was just hanging there. And then I hear like everyone screaming, and John's like, don't look at your arm. Just don't look at it. They go run and get me ice. And they're calling the ambulance. And I'm like, I was okay. Like, it hurt, but I was fine. And I never actually looked at it. And I didn't actually see what it looked like until I saw the video afterwards. But they take me to the hospital. I get put on the stretcher and I go to the hospital. I'm like, oh, it's not too bad. You guys could just try to pop it in. You don't have to put me to sleep. They're like, we should probably put you to sleep. I'm like, no, try it. And then he goes to do it. I'm like, nope, just put me to sleep. It hurts. I give up. And then they pop it in, put me in like a little soft cast, and I was good from there. But I guess that's kind of when I was like, all right, I got to get better, so that I wasn't like, I'm going to quit. I'm like, I got to get better.
Yeah, so I think like the main thing with that is like I think that's when he realized that he actually loved the sport, because anybody who gets their arm broken in half,
it wasn't broken.
They wouldn't show up and still train. Like he trained like a week later. So I think that's probably the moment he realized that he actually enjoyed jiu-jitsu for real, and it wasn't just something to go do for fun. I think everybody has that kind of moment, whether it's in training or in competition, where you're like, you know, something happens and then you still keep showing up even though, you know, I don't know.
I would say possibly because I've never had anything broken on me yet.
It wasn't broken, it was dislocated, but
when I tell you, it was in half though.
Like it was
at
hanging.
The elbow.
It was completely dislocated. Off. It didn't fracture the bone or anything, but the elbow joint kind of like separated. So one part of my arm was on one side, the other part was on the other side.
It was so bad, I didn't know how to react. So laugh. It happened, but then I realized I should laugh because it's actually really bad.
Gary was kind of just grossed out, making noises like he was going to throw up. It was pretty funny.
Oh God! Well, that's normal for Gary, but I would say, just from my own interpretation, if I had anything like that happen to me in jiu-jitsu, I might just be a full-time host and not even a part-time practitioner. So, you know, I kind of understand that. We do have a couple questions here. This one's from David Clifford, who asks, "Who is Jon Calestine?" So, can we address kind of the elephant in the room before I let you answer the question? Which is, why does David look like he is a satanic cult leader in this photo?
He's actually one of my students. Yeah, it's great. It's a good.
But like, am I wrong on this? Does it not look like he's about to tell you to come to the other side?
I think that's what he's going for.
I think that's what he's going for.
I think he succeeded.
Okay, well, what a great mission to put out there. I guess the reason why I bring that up first is because he does have a follow-up question, which is, which arm is it? Asking for a friend, and then Dave, just says, I'm.
Yeah, Yeah, nope. You're never gonna tap me. You're not getting this information out of me. No one's ever gonna know.
It's
What?
a 50% option. I don't know how that doesn't narrow things down enough
Pretty
for people. I feel like he broke an arm. Well, I wonder which one it is.
Well, I mean, the nerve damage doesn't help. You can kind of tell if you look at it, but I keep it secret.
Fair.
I don't want anyone knowing.
Fair. Okay. So Renee puts up a question that says, "Who wins, Calestine or
Thank
Eagle?"
you. Oh,
Jared the Priest.
Very funny.
And very obvious.
So let's go down. We do have one 100% wholesome response thus far in, and that is from, of course, Keith Kokorian, who says, "Love these guys."
Of course it is. Love you
Keith
too,
is
Keith.
the
He's
nicest
best.
person in all of jiu-jitsu. He's probably, like, aside from you, Hoffa, the only person that I actually like. I dislike
Fair.
most people.
And there's a reason to dislike a lot of people in our sport, if we're being honest. I would say that
Good
Keith
point.
Kokorian is the Kermit the Frog of jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Now Keith is asking a question. Who wins, John or Junie?
Oh, thank you, Keith. Okay, so I'm not going to talk shit, but I will say I had 2 more matches.
Hey, Chris, can you just repeat what you just said?
I think we cut out for like half a second.
You did cut out your back right here. If you don't mind taking that question from the top, that would be great.
Okay, so I'm not going to talk shit, but they've had 4 matches. 2 of them were like years and years ago, the same day. Junie won a close decision, and then John inverted heel hooked him. And then they had 2 more matches on bigger stages. EBI, John won by inverted heel hook. Junie then beat him at Kasai by like 2 points. So, I mean, what's the rule set? And there was
It's a friendly rivalry, and I think it would be a good match to have at a fight to win. And that's like one that I've been trying to work on is the sub-only rule set again.
But we did have John accepted a match with Junie for the Nogi 135 title, and apparently Junie turned that down.
He didn't turn it down. They don't want to make the rematch, is what I was told, and that's fine. I get it, but I would like to have that match. Junie didn't turn it down.
Okay, I was misinformed.
No, he didn't turn it down. What I was told is they don't want to do a rematch so close together, and that's fine. I get it, but I would like to have the match. Respectfully asking for the match, especially at a fight to win.
Yeah, I think sub only John wins 100% of the time. Points and decision rule sets, it's maybe like 60-40.
And it's only because I don't know how to count. You add in counting into a match, and it makes it a lot more difficult for me. And I'm being serious.
But end of the day, Junie is very good. I do respect his jiu-jitsu. I'm not trying to be an asshole, but that's just what I think, honestly.
You sounded a little bit, but that's okay.
I know, but it's just my honest opinion. I'm not going to lie.
I would like to do the rematch again because I do feel like we're tied up at this point, and I feel like it's a good match.
The rubber match.
And honestly, in that rankings at 135, it's me at 6, I believe, and I believe Junie is either 3 or 4.
I think he's 4 or 5.
Yeah, something like that. And there honestly isn't anybody. I would feel that like you wouldn't want to defend against somebody below me. Like I wouldn't mind having a match with somebody below me, and then Junie, it's just that's the match I honestly want. Yeah. And I haven't been able to compete at Fight to Win yet, and I'd like to do it. If they want to do somebody else first and then do Junie after, I'd be happy with that too. I know Junie wants the Kaio match. Kaio's not going to take it because I asked for Kaio years ago many times and still nothing. But I just think it would be a good, fun match in that rule set. And it's honestly the only rule set we haven't competed against each other in. We've done points twice, and we've done
EBI.
I'm sorry, we've done points 3 times, and we did EBI rules. So I mean, doing a stuff.
Have you never been on a Fight to Win?
I've never been on a Fight to Win, not yet.
Why?
I've spoken to Seth in the past, but it's just I guess he's busy. I know he runs a lot of shows, so I know, but he is looking to get me on a card.
Yeah.
But he did offer me the match, and then when he offered me the match, he said that he didn't want to do the rematch because we already had one. I said the match was a year ago. I would like to have the match. If he can make the match happen and Junie would like to have the match, I would really appreciate having the match. I feel like it's a rubber match at this point. We're 2-2. And I think it would just be, there's a story behind it. You know, there's something that I think jiu-jitsu misses. There's no really any matches with too many stories behind it. The only story is somebody says something on Instagram about them and then, or makes a bet match or something. And then that's the story behind it. This is actually a story that goes from when I was a blue belt and he was a purple belt. We've just been competing against each other. And now we're 2-2. It's a big stage. He's a champ at Fight to Win. I'm looking to get back into the game and get my name back out there and fight for a title. We're both close to each other in the rankings. I didn't know how I got put in the rankings, I'm be honest with you, but I appreciate it. And I've disappeared for the past year, and then Corona had me hiding from the world. But but I mean, I haven't done much in a while, so I didn't know how I got in the rankings. But I guess they went off the last big tournament was Kasai at 135 and Nogi World, so they went off that. And I'm guessing put me in at number 6, and Junie's ranked, I think, 1 or 2 above me. You know, if I got to fight Lucas Pinheiro, I'd be fine with that too. But the match I really want is Junie, so we could work on however we can get me there. And I'd appreciate that, you know, and that's really where I want to be heading right now.
We'll circle to that in just a second, but I do want to go ahead and give you a compliment, which I do put you in that mix as well. And even if you're not active, I think it's funny. I mean, for Lord's sake, DC is still in the heavyweight rankings, and the man literally told us he's retired. Like, the UFC couldn't be bothered to update their goddamn own rankings for one of the dudes who's like, got cake, I'm good, bye everybody. So I would just say that. I would also say I think it is to your benefit to continue on the athletic trajectory of, I think our athleticism speaks for itself. And our history is based off of that. I mean, here's the hard part. That's what they might have told you maybe before Corona. That's what I'm guessing. They were telling you this information before Corona, correct?
About what?
About what?
Exactly.
About your rematch.
No, that was like this week.
That was this week.
This week? Holy fuck. That's so silly.
I just found out yesterday. I was just offered yesterday, and then they didn't want to do the rematch. And like I said, if they don't want to do the rematch, and then Seth, I know he's busy. He's booking a lot of matches. Yeah. If he wants to work some other match, he said he's trying that. But I would really like the Junie match, especially if I'm going to cut all that weight.
I'm going to say is some of these matches look like they were made by a dartboard. So at the very least, to put you on the radar with somebody that you actually have a competitive history with would seem a no-brainer. But what do I know? So anyway, I will – go ahead.
Someone sent me a clip of Junie saying he didn't want to match with anyone he beat or is tied with. So I'm assuming he was directing that at Jon.
Cool. I mean, listen, dude. You know what?
I called him out on Instagram for Jon like 800 times and he never responded. So,
you know, our sport is filled with so many different personalities. People have different way of responding to things. I like to think that one of the things that we do on the show is we just point blank ask the questions. And I'm sure if I had the opportunity with Junie, I would ask him straight up. The hard part is I understand if you want to try and get new challenges, new things in front of you, but we're at a weird stage right now.
Yes, the belt, that's fair.
Look, I understand that too, because I was in that same position that when I won EBI, everybody wanted a rematch at that point. So it's like everybody I ever beat, give me a rematch. And then it gets to a point where, you know, you're like, oh, I don't want to give this one to this one or a rematch. And I think it's just you have to look at what it is that they've done over the course of a certain period of time. And you have to see, okay, this is a good rematch to have. You know, he's done this and this since then, as opposed to and then it's fair to say, okay, let's have a rematch. Let's make sure that we both get compensated well and let's make it happen. And then there's the other situations where people call you out for a rematch and they haven't really done anything since you beat them. So it's like, it's certain situations. Like I said, that's why I don't mind having a few matches with a few other people before I get to that at Fight to Win. You know, if that's what makes him justify it in his head to have the rematch with me, that's fine. You know, but Fight to Win is just one of the promotions that I'm trying to pursue, because I also want to eventually be able to get on Who's Number One. And I feel like it's good to get a couple matches in before ADCC trials as well, because I'm going to try and do that again. And I've been working real hard on my sprawl. And I also have been designing these shorts that when my butt hits the floor from getting taken down by a double leg, my butt won't hurt as much. So
We got butt pads.
I won't be as butt hurt if I lose by another takedown or something. And those little pads have a little bit of bounce in them. So I'll be able to bounce right off the mat and pop back up to my feet.
You got a spring.
So
Good for you.
Feeling good
kid.
about that.
Let me go ahead and say this. The reason I kind of put a little bit of a bookmark a little bit earlier is because young Keith Krikorian is working his way to be Jiu-Jitsu Sean Shelby, because look at this. If not Junie for the title, maybe Lucas for the #1 contender spot.
I also
That's a
called
good
out
option.
Lucas and gave Tuttle for John.
Lucas seems like he wants to do it
Lucas
because he liked all
my
the comments.
Yeah.
He liked all the comments. And I mentioned Lucas to Seth originally. When I messaged Seth about getting on the September 25th card, I said I'd be up for doing Lucas. Junie's name never came out of my mouth at that point. He brought it up to me. So, I mean, whatever it is they want to do, as long as it makes sense is fine with me. I mean, There's a match that I would like, and then there's the matches that I would be okay with taking to get to the match that I would like.
That makes sense.
I know what it's like to have to work your way up, stuff like that, and I have no problem with that. It's just a matter of opportunities is really what it is.
Keith is, I guess, bored. He has more questions or comments, concerns. It says, what did you take away from the match with Gianni, and would you consider that your biggest win to date?
I mean, I actually took a lot away from that match. I took a lot away from play as a competitor with opening up my game to being better up. I feel like where a lot of people thought that I lost that match was the fact that as he was going for sweeps, I was dropping back on top. And I think another thing that I needed to work on a lot was that I play on bottom. I have a bad habit of letting people come to me and like I'm pretty much, and that's also hurt me in the past in terms of like ADCC trials matches where it's like I don't feel in danger. My opponent's not putting me in danger, but they're moving around on top and I'm not really stopping them from doing that. So I think that's the biggest thing I picked up from that match was learning to play a more aggressive guard on bottom and also having a better idea of where I want to be when I'm on top into that kind of leg attack, which also helped me a lot with getting ready for the next ADCC trials. But that's probably the biggest thing that I took away from that match. And it's definitely probably my biggest win to date. I think that win was a little bit bigger for me than any other win that I had, just because it was somebody that I like. It was like somebody that like when I first went to Henzo's to train, he was already an established competitor training there. So it's like I already knew that he was like really good. And it was just somebody that I really respected a lot. And it was one of those matches where I really had to like game plan and really like, it was just one of those matches where I was like, this is like the step up for me. And I need to really just push myself and make sure that I, get it done. One thing I wish I would have done was get a submission, but it's hard on guys at the highest level to submit them, especially somebody like Gianni, who very rarely gets submitted. I don't think we've seen him get submitted outside of the gi one time. I think that was just Rafa Mendes. So, definitely not the easiest person to submit. So,
John, I have to ask, is trials on your radar this year then?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, trials. And I am working on dual citizenship as well. So I'm going to pull a Taza. And if I don't get it done in the US, I'm going to try to go over to Europe and try to do those trials as long as I can fly over there. But we'll figure that out. I do plan on winning this time. Last time I said I was going to win the trials, everybody said that, oh, he's just cocky. No, it's just because I don't plan on competing to lose, of course. But, I plan on winning. It's something that I've been working real hard towards. And, like I said, working my wrestling every day, my sprawls, especially.
let me give you some advice just from an outsider perspective. It's, I mean, I think that athletes are supposed to have a good sense of self in terms of, yeah, you're supposed to believe in yourself because who the hell else is going to do it for you? It's on you guys to create that sense of accomplishment within your own brain. What happens is you have people on the internet who try to take that away from you. They try to rob it from you. And so what ends up happening is at its highest level, when you see in the UFC, you see Sugar Sean who says dumb shit, but you watch him and then he loses and then they try to rob him. They're like, you can't feel like you were still better than that guy. And I tell people, listen, I'm not going to rob him of that. However, I will 100% understand the jokes that get made of making fun of him when he calls someone a journeyman. So if you just go past that level, then that's when the roller coaster goes back down. I think the idea of you having sense of belief in self is nothing that you should ever feel bad about. It is nothing that you should ever feel, is ever at risk because you do what you need to do. And I think the thing that athletes sometimes forget is, holy shit, man, 1% wins the whole thing. A lot of people come in to not win. And nobody should think of that, but it is the reality of it. So I think that's the one thing training does get you guys. The reality of it. Yeah, I think training gets you guys physically prepared, but the mental preparation is nowhere to be seen in most gyms. So that is my little humble observation from the side. So you do you, man. I'm always happy. But you know what though, dude? The hardest part is this. You're very honest about what you're going through. And I've always appreciated that with you because you've just been very clear as to, hey man, this is what I'm doing. Here's what I'm thinking. And the hardest part about that is you do have people who will try to take advantage of that, know that's something that they play on with you. It makes me a little unfortunate in my brain to think like, man, that really sucks that people would do that because at your core, you've been nothing but nice to me. And I see how you are at tournaments. You're not a prick to other people. So I don't know you personally beyond that, but it's just like I would have no reason to do that unless I saw you as somebody who was competition. And I have a really shitty way of expressing that. So he's a
gigantic asshole.
Cool. I'm not a gigantic asshole.
He is. Gigantic asshole.
I'm only an asshole to my friends because I love them, so it's okay.
I was about to say, I inherently believe your guys' New Yorkness, it shines through more and more. Like the fact that every time I talk to Jon, I think to my brain, you are a guy that Martin Scorsese still needs to put in one of his movies. And that's just my interpretation of how it is. You seem like,
and if he's looking for me to be in a movie, hard times right now.
Absolutely. All right, so let's circle back to that because I guess part of the thing is, whoever these kids are that are going to be at your new school are definitely going to get some good training if you are circling and putting on wanting to be back on the map competition wise to also set forth for the goal of ADCC. And I know that they keep you very close to the vest with eyes on you because you are somebody that they are very much rooting for. I'll answer this one. This one's actually to me. Rafa Spars, any chance you're going to be in attendance for either of the trials? Well, Tim, no, for a couple reasons. Number one is I don't believe they're going to have audiences. And number two is I don't know what their stance is on the media, but I recently did ask Mo during a Q&A about his stance on covering the actual ADCC trials, and it was a not great answer. So if you'd like to, go ahead.
They said East Coast trials will have no audience, but like every person there can have a coach, so it's basically going to be an audience.
Right. What I can, an audience of coaches is very similar to my life.
700 people competing, so it's going to be like a 700 person audience, basically.
Yeah. Well, what's going to happen is I bet they're going to tell you guys you need to probably leave potentially after you. I don't know. The hard part about it is the East Coast guys. Well, yes, especially out here on the West Coast 2 years ago. What I would tell you, though, it's one of the worst run tournaments I've ever seen in my life. And I mean, I've seen a number of tournaments. And I've even run tournaments. And I've hosted a rough tournament in my time. That was really, really not good. What I will say is this. What it seems like, though, is that they would probably, in essence, hope for you guys to, as you lose, leave the competition. I don't know that they will follow the protocols that closely, considering they're already going to feel that they're going out of their way to do it. Would it be smarter to do that way? Yeah, but I guess the hard part is once you guys are all in there, you might as well all be contagion. I mean, you're all fucking in the same room now at this point. So
I'm going to tell you the truth. Am I comfortable being in a room with 700 different people and sweating in each other's mouths? Absolutely not. But because of the situation and them not pushing it back because of everything going on, because, you know, jiu-jitsu must go on. But I have to. It's something I have to do, even though it's not like the joy of my life to be in the room with those people, because it's so many of them and the situation now, and
they're all training at gyms.
They're all training all over the place, and nobody's gonna not show up because they have coronavirus. People in jiu-jitsu can't stay home if they have a rash on their elbow and it's ringworm or with staph infection. They refuse because all their gains are gonna be lost in a matter of a week. But you know, so I know that nobody's going to not show up because they have coronavirus. But, you know, it's what I got to do. I want to go to ADCC. Got to deal with it.
Is what it is. I was hoping, I asked Mo, like on the ADCC page, I asked why didn't they push East Coast trials back, even though they pushed back like Europeans and everything. He said it was due to the fact that they didn't want to push back like actual ADCC because they have everything booked. But in like 2 months also, because Jon popped my LCL, I will not be ready for trials, and I can't make that weight and be in shape by November just because of my knee and everything. So I was hoping to make 145. I'm a little bit bigger than Jon. So it's probably a no-go for me, maybe West Coast trials.
So let me get this straight. The person you're sitting next to is the person that popped your LCL?
Yeah.
Okay. Jon?
Long story.
Not long story, but...
Well, Jon, do you have anything that you would like to say to him?
I said I was sorry, but I also said it was his fault.
It wasn't my fault.
He did something wrong.
It was not my fault.
Now, Jon, listen. Let me
Jon has
come
popped
in here.
3 people's knees in the last couple months.
All right, let's review. You guys have a new gym. This is a terrible way to promote that. What I can tell you is this. I realize I have to do an intervention here. Jon, this is your business partner, okay? And you guys, if his knee is no good, that means more classes that Jon has to teach. So, Jon, when you say you're sorry, just period, and then don't add any more. I appreciate knowing the other part, so I'm going to let you do it one more time. Jon, do you have something that you would like to say to Chris?
I'm sorry. Okay, I didn't mean to pop your LCL on purpose.
Oh, God. Well, I guess things are going well for the training camp for one Jon Calestine. What I would tell you is this. Okay. We have a few more things to circle back to. But yes, Tim, what we will be doing, though, is we will have some fight companions. Did it disconnect right now? You guys hear me okay again?
We broke up a little bit.
We broke up a little bit right there. We kind of missed you a little bit.
Okay. Do you hear me normal now?
Yeah.
Okay. So there's just a slight delay. What I would tell you, though, Tim, is we will have some fight companions on these things. And I would tell you, man, I would really relook at what we'll probably say a little bit more about most comments about the media, because I think what they're doing right now is conflating media as people that wants free tickets just for the sake of getting free tickets. And I think that's a pretty shitty value system to have. But that's just my opinion. Could, other people seem to enjoy the ride just fine to go there and be a additional marketing arm. I'll have more comments on that later. All right. Keith Kokorian thinks that they should just do the trials in Texas. Good for him. Love seeing Sean Applegate. It says, great to hear something from these fellas. But earlier, it did say Jon versus Kennedy would be dope. Any rule set, to be honest. But Keith has a specific question, which is favorite smaller tourney you ever competed in, including the ones like finishers, Kumite, Zapatero, etc.
Favorite one that I did? All right, so I have one of my favorite ones was the Anna Invitational. because they had that really cool dance show in between
That was so weird.
the matches, where the women dressed up like aliens. Not sure what that had anything to do with jiu-jitsu.
I feel like it fit 10th Planet Austin though very well. So.
But that was one of my favorites, and the finishers that I did at 145, the one that I won in 2017, that was the other one that was probably one of my favorite ones.
I did one of the Kumites. It was cool.
The Kumites were fun too, but the Kumites were very stressful.
Yeah.
Because you had to have like 8 matches in one day, and they were all 10-minute sub-only EBI matches. So that was not.
It's a lot of matches.
It was not fun. Those were not fun. The Anna Invitational was fun, and finishers was always fun. Finishers always puts on good shows. I always enjoy it.
Doreen was asking, so John, do you prefer EBI rules?
I mean, over points, yes. To say that I don't enjoy points, I do enjoy it. I enjoy watching ADCC. I enjoy watching ADCC when you have 2 guys that actually, go for it and try to actually, pass the guard, do jiu-jitsu. What I don't like about points is guys get too caught up in, they find ways to play the system and the rules, and then it just becomes a boring match. And that kind of takes away from it. I would say probably the thing I enjoy most about, in terms of rule set, the rule set that I enjoy the most would probably have to be like sub-only, no time limit. I know that's like the normal thing for all the guys who do leg locks to say, because, you get your guard passed and don't worry. As long as you don't get it.
I like sub-only judge's decision because I get tired.
Look, I look at the judge's decision I look at it this way. What Fight to Win's doing takes this sport in a direction where anybody can watch it and be able to not understand what's going on, but it's the same as like with the UFC. People don't have to understand what's going on, but then when the fight's over, they watch the fight and maybe they watch the whole fight. They have no idea what the hell is going on, but they saw one guy hit the other guy more times in the face, and then they see the judge's decision. It comes out for the guy who got hit more in the face. It adds an aspect to it that I think the casual person can watch the sport. I think that's what jiu-jitsu is missing. I think all the points confuse people, especially me. Like I said, confuse the shit out of me. And I just think the sub-only with the judge's decision, it adds an aspect that can make a casual fan enjoy what's going on, which is why I like what Who's Number One is doing. I like how they're making longer matches with sub-only and judge's decision. And I like how Seth made the rules in terms of scoring. It's not just based on going for sub-attempts. A guard pass counts just as much as a sub-attempt in the eyes of a judge, which I think is very similar to how in an MMA fight or the UFC, a takedown can almost count just as much as knocking somebody down with a punch. I think it just helps the casual fans want to actually watch the sport more. So that's why I would have to say I really enjoy watching Fight to Wins and stuff like that, especially when it's like the higher level guys are having the matches. And again, any rule set's faulty. I think the biggest thing is making some kind of stalling calls, but I would definitely say sub-only, no time limit, or sub-only with a judge's decision. But I do enjoy competing in EBI rules, but my preference would always be something that it's, decided by the submission solely,
Those matches get crazy long, though. I don't want to sit there for
an hour
and just watch. It takes too long. Like, I think that's the biggest fault, that sub-only, like, no time limit.
Yeah.
I'm also lazy, and anything over 10 minutes is too long for me.
But I definitely would say that the judge's decision with sub-only takes the sport in a direction where it can grow more. I think it needs to keep moving in that direction a little bit.
I can tell you that I have commentated sub-only, no time limit matches.
Yeah.
And really, I think part of the reason why it can be boring is because we don't have good commentators to walk you through it. So what ends up happening is it shows the weakness of your commentary booth team if they just run out of shit to talk about. And the reality is, good play-by-play should walk you through what you're seeing. It should also tell you a story, but it should also be able and be comfortable to walk you through bad situations. So say if something happened to Chris's arm in a match that I was commentating, I couldn't just sit there and be like, oh shit, no. Oh, like that's not a good commentator. A commentator walks you through and says, all right, It looks like they're taking a moment to go ahead and figure out if Chris's arm is okay. We're going to keep you guys updated, but let's really talk about what the mechanics were that did that. And you were able to vamp and walk people in a way so that they're not vomiting like Gary over on the sides. So I think there is a smart way to do it. It's just, I think the best thing I've seen thus far in of it is probably the Shugio Invitational, which I thought did it all. It like let them have their real matches in core time and then edited it down for a digestible amount for people to think. And I think that would be fantastic to see. So,
and it had a very Kumite feel of like Jean-Claude Van Damme kickboxer.
Oh, well, speaking of Kumite, Sean Applegate writes, "Bro, the Kumite was wild."
Oh yeah, those Kumites that we used to do, those were horrible.
I mean, you know, the nice part about him is that when you do them and you're young, they don't feel that bad. But as you start to get a little bit older, you're probably like, you know, guy, I got time for like half a Kumite.
The next day, I was very sure.
I was 21 years old when I did one that made me feel like I got hit by a truck afterwards.
Yeah.
So
Very, very sure.
the one that I won, the 155, when I was 21 years old, the next day, I asked Sean because he was there. I was just sitting on the couch in the back of the gym while everybody else was training, and people were like, "You're not going to train today?" I said, "Absolutely not." I felt like I got hit by a truck.
Oh,
that was the worst pain I've ever been in after competing. It was horrible. Everything hurt.
Oh my God. I mean, I'm super appreciative that you could have that respect, but it does get a little bit harder. So the good news for you kids, though, is it seems like, let me see, Sean puts out and says 46 matches in one day.
Yeah, I think Sean actually commentated the one John and I both did together.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's amazing. Let's do this. So let's continue to talk a little bit about your guys' gym, because I'm curious, like, you know, earlier, John, you mentioned something where you said you want it to feel like the gym that kind of would make you feel comfortable. Have you experienced that or elements of that at gyms previously, or is this kind of a creation of your own design of like, hey, listen, I'm creating something that I always wished I had?
I want there to be like an atmosphere where it's like people can come train seriously. If they want to be a competitor, they can train seriously to be a competitor. If they don't, they can train with the competitors, and nobody gets, I don't want it to become a cliquey thing. You know, I talk to everybody in the room. I don't want it to become a clique where it's like only the competitors hang out with me or talk to me. I talk to everybody the same way in the room. I walk around and I help everybody the same way in the room. I've always been like that. Because, you know, sometimes when you're in a space where it's mainly built around competitors, sometimes the other people in the room get left out a little bit. And it becomes a thing where everybody's fighting to prove themselves to get that attention. That's the one thing I think I want to take out of there. And I want to create like an actual team. You know, I feel like an actual team where like people are actually not just pretending to be teammates, but actually teammates with each other, you know. And I've experienced that in the past. And then I've been around in situations where it's like the atmosphere just isn't what I like. So it's just, that's the kind of atmosphere I want, is just where it's just, you know, I just want it to be where everybody from the hobbyist who wants to train seriously to the hobbyist who just wants to come in and hang out because it's something extra for them to do. I just want everybody to feel welcome and stuff like that. That's the kind of atmosphere I want. And I want there to be an option for people that want to train hard like me, training 2-3 times a day, whatever it is. I want them to have the opportunity to come do that as well. I'm not going to, you know, I'll give everybody an opportunity to do that. You know, as long as people show me that they actually want to train seriously, I have no problem with that. You know, and I try my best to also bring in, you know, when I train myself, I try my best to travel to different gyms and train with all these different people, because now I don't have a space where I could walk into and have like a bunch of world-class guys. So it's like I have to go find the world-class guys to train. I have to travel to do that. If I can have a space where I can have them come and, you know, if it's not too bad for them to make the trip there and stuff like that, and actually start like a team, like that's another thing that I want to do. I want to be able to, you know, start a team that can actually be competitive and bring other people in that are real high level competitors as best as I can, and just that's the atmosphere that I want to create, that the hobbyists can walk into the room with the competitors and not feel like, they're not welcome or anything like that. That's the atmosphere I want.
I dig it. Chris, how hard was it to have a gym that you were sitting on this entire time during coronavirus? Because you knew that you wanted to open, you had plans, you had ideas, and you had to put them on a hold. Like, how hard was it to experience all of these gym shutdowns as a person who had a goal for opening a gym?
I mean, we kind of like, it was frustrating because we were planning to do a big seminar. We were going to have John, Jason Rao, Frank Rosenthal teach like a big grand opening thing. We had everything planned out. It was literally happening like the next week. And then we just had to cancel everything, scrap it all, and then try to just come up with, all right, are we going to do this in 2 weeks? And then we were kind of just like, all right, we're going to have to indefinitely like cancel that and just see what happens. And luckily we had a few fortunate things that we didn't have to worry about, like, because we technically weren't open yet. We didn't have to like pay rent this whole time. So we were able to keep like the gym alive and not just have to close before we even open. And we just have to work out new things. Like the fact that we have a college like 5 minutes away was super helpful when we were planning it out. Cause I went around and handed out flyers.
Oh yeah, we're right near Brooklyn College too. Like,
we're literally like a 5-minute walk from Brooklyn College. And then now there's not really anyone going to Brooklyn College. My girlfriend goes there. She's taking all her classes online. So we don't really have that foot traffic of college kids to come in. So it kind of just, we have to think of new ways to promote, think of new ways to get people in the door, new people especially, because a lot of people aren't going to really want to come to a gym where people are sweating on each other right now. So we just have to come up with new promotional ideas. And
my idea was to make it like a fight club there, and secretly I was going to get posters made that it just literally had like a logo on it and a number. And that was my plan originally. Didn't happen.
Yep.
But
no, I'm glad you have a fight partner in this game who could maybe say, good first draft. Let's maybe not do the Fight Club idea, because the best part about Fight Club, it was already kind of established. They didn't need to do marketing yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's true. It's true.
What I would ask you though, Chris, is you said you're looking for new ideas. I know we're not with the college town right now.
Yeah.
Hear me out on this idea. How about you send either yourself or John, pick who's going to be the person that goes. But I think that you guys go undercover at the school. Don't just hand out flyers. Like literally pretend to be in the classes. Sit there and being like, man, this is so lame. It's not lame though. I hear that like academy across the street is really super cool. They got a cool guy. He breaks people's legs, broke my knee. That's why I went back to college.
Sounds like a good idea.
A good idea.
I definitely couldn't do that because I didn't go to school when I was supposed to be there. So I will not voluntarily go to school.
I'm not much better, to be fair.
But I mean, well, that's part of the reason why I thought about you, John, is because who would be so quick to let it go in the middle of a class and be like, this sucks. You know what? I'm going to the gym across the street. Anybody wants
to be honest, I think I would do that before he would. He'd be scared.
It's possible. I'm actually very quiet in public.
You are a very quiet person. And I do appreciate that you give us the time because, I do think that you have important things to say. And I think that it's always interesting to me is that I always feel like it's easiest to go to the people who are the loudest, but I always kind of observe everybody in the jiu-jitsu game and I kind of see what they do. And, man, I got to say, when you're telling me these things and you kind of look at it and you can get this sense of like, you don't want to be bothered by the nonsense. It is refreshing. It is kind of nice. I think there's open spaces in there, but I think it's really important that we don't overlook the people who go, hey guys, my record's pretty good. You could look at that if you wanted to figure out if I should have a match or not. And sometimes closed mouths don't get matches. So it's a very delicate balance. And that's why I think it's very important that we try to look to those people who have a accomplished fight resume at all times. So you definitely are in that conversation always. I hope you know that.
No, thank you.
You're welcome.
But I'd like a match at the end of the year.
I'm sorry, what?
I said I don't have an accomplished fight resume, but I'd like a match sometime at the end of the year. Anyone listening?
Chris, you're still the young gun kid. I would tell you this.
I'd like a match with anyone.
It's like he's trying to get a date.
I literally applied to Fight to Win like 3 times. It's just that they don't do it in New York. So like they pick local lower belts for Jersey and Philly.
Right. Yeah. I would tell you, man, you know what's interesting is the one thing that always speaks to a promoter's heart is not necessarily your talent. It is sometimes what they can get out of you. And so what they look at is currency. And if you look at most of the times, they don't do the marketing. You do the marketing. Yeah. You go out there and you have to sell the tickets. So if you can ever show, but that's the whole point, is if you can ever show that you have a drawing ability or that you can sell tickets, they don't care who you are. They'll put you on.
Of course. I just don't think they want to put guys on that are like out of state that are lower belts, because I can't sell tickets in like Philadelphia, which is fair, but you know, is what it is. I wish they came to Brooklyn. They came to Brooklyn one time and they were just like, all right, we're never coming back here ever again.
Yeah, Seth has a very big apprehension of big cities. It seems
they're expensive.
Brooklyn is very expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I get it. And what I would tell you this is, Chris, I hear what you're saying. I hear your feedback. But now consider the fact that you're going to have your own gym of mini monsters. So right now, you are becoming a bigger business, a bigger brand unto yourself. So maybe in time, the time you put into your students is the time that you create bigger currency for yourself as a following. So look at that as a true opportunity, because it doesn't have to be them. You could get a number of matches other places. I would just tell you that I think it does benefit you to realize, like, this is a big thing. This is one of the things I tell different people in different areas where I go, listen, dude, I don't want to be on a Fight to Win. I got better things to do. But if you want to be on there, figure out what their system is and use that and use that platform. But no, they're not the only deal in town, and that you can always get more attention just by concentrating on your own super fights or setting up your own opportunities. Let's put it this way. I look at Flow Grappling as being really the only broadcaster that we have right now.
Yeah.
But like, I still do my show separate of everything they do, because they don't produce the shows that I want to see. So I make my own. And as a result of it, somehow people kind of know I exist, and it has nothing to do with them. So you can create your own little island and make your own thing and do that, and you have a true opportunity with your students. So I'd highly encourage you to, as you're doing that, it's going to give you that extra emphasis and that extra motivation to want to succeed at what you're doing. And hey, man, a gym is dope, because you guys should be running on this whole, hey, did you guys gain weight during Corona? Come on down over here. Listen, we're all fat, but we're going to work it off. Come on. Well, gents, I'm going to ask you just a couple more questions. I'm curious. Yeah, cool. When you weren't doing training during Corona, because I'm sure you had to take a little time off, what were you doing?
Eating a lot of food, playing Warzone. It's a lot of, that's like 90% of it. We probably didn't train for like 2 months, and then we started training in Jon's garage where he popped my knee. And
hold on.
That's basically it. I ate a lot of food. I almost got to 170 pounds and played a lot of Warzone.
I almost got to 170 pounds.
No, I don't believe that.
No,
I was 165. I was 165. Jason.
The funniest thing was, though, is that we were training together. I was like 168. Normally I'm around like 55, 60. I was like 168, and Jon's like, oh, you're so heavy. You're so heavy. You're so fucking fat. And then he weighs himself the next day and texts me, oh, shit, I'm 165 pounds.
That's perfect.
That was when I first started training. Like, again, I was
we took off like 2
but
3 months.
I was also lifting weights throughout. You know, like my first 2 months, I did nothing but sit in the house, and I was losing my mind talking to myself, basically. And that's when I'm like, okay, I have to figure out something to do. You know, so then I started cleaning out my grandmother's garage. I found like this 200-pound weight set that I think had to be from 1980 or something. It's so old. And I just started lifting weights with that. I ordered a dummy off the internet, and I would lift weights, sit in my garage, watch jiu-jitsu matches, and drill on my dummy. And people would walk by and look at me like playing with the dummy, and they would just be like, what the hell is going on in there? But that's what I did until I felt comfortable to train one-on-one, and that's when I started training with him. And then I heard him, so then I had to find more people to train with.
Yeah.
So then I started training with larger groups.
It was a nice, like, too loud, very painful knee pops. Very fun.
But I can guarantee you, after having Eddie Cummings pop my knee many, many times, my knees hurt, but they are the most flexible they've ever been.
You know, that's probably the nicest thing anybody said about Eddie's knee popping techniques. So,
and that's the nicest thing you'll ever hear me say about Eddie ever.
I would just tell you guys that I think it's pretty commendable that you were able to find a way through it. Chris, I would ask you, because I guess I've been a terrible host and haven't asked this. You walking around okay? You still good? I know it's been a little bit of time since.
I mean, it was in like July.
Bust the dance move real quick. You got this. Come on.
Not happening.
Come on.
I'm walking around fine. It was in like the beginning of July. And I was like, oh, I think it's just a sprain. Like, I was okay. I was like, I think it's just a sprain. And then I kind of started like picking it up and training a little bit. And then I'm like, oh, my knee actually kind of really hurts. I'm going to take it easy. And it's just been a little sore, but it's nothing too bad.
Okay. Well, hey, man, I'm glad you're okay. Obviously take it easy on that. But here's the good news. Now you have so much time to dedicate to your students and to your gym and to all the stuff that nobody likes doing in running a gym, which is all the paperwork and all of the accountability and the receipts. So, Jon, I listen, kid, I don't do the jokes making fun of how dumb people are unless they're really like terrible human beings. So I don't really call anybody dumb. I would just tell you.
I'm not dumb. I'm just not good at math.
Okay, hold on. No. You're doing the I'm dumb jokes. I know what an I dumb joke sounds like. As a king self-deprecator, I know what that sounds like. I will tell you this.
Or use commas or write a legible sentence.
You know what? If people really want me to go down the line and start proofreading their memes, their inspirational quote texts about themselves saying something very important.
This guy right here is the vocabulary Nazi. Because you text him, it's a text. It doesn't need to look like a high school essay. It's a text message. It doesn't need to have capitals. It doesn't need to have commas. It doesn't need to have periods. It's not longer than 2 sentences.
I only do it because usually he's being an asshole to me. So then I'm like, you can't fucking spell. So it doesn't even count.
It doesn't need to have commas and periods and quotations. And it doesn't matter if I spell it THERE or THE.
I mean, it would be nice if you knew how to, though.
Whatever. Like, it doesn't matter. It's a text. You get the point.
I just try to be helpful, Just trying to help out my less fortunate friends in the English department.
I would tell you this. If I did that for the sport, by and large, it would be a very, very ugly thing. And I got to tell you, man, I've even put out things where I go, I don't think that's spelled right. I don't think that looks right. And I go, fuck it. They don't know. They're too stupid. And I just throw it out because I dare someone to try and proofread my stuff. And I just go, sure. You know what's great about being it? I'm not even really a grammar Nazi to the extent, but I grew up around grammar Nazis. So y'all can't do shit to me. I would just tell you, though, that this is getting back to my original point here, Jon, which is if I were to just look at the little window, the little picture of you guys right here, and I were to say, who's doing the paperwork for the gym? I know who it is.
It's fair enough.
It's this guy.
And it is based purely on the knowledge of knowing, Jon don't got time for that. He wants to go in there and tell people how to rip knees, and that's a very valuable service into itself. So either way, I can tell you guys this, though. I think it's fantastic you have a gym. I'm rooting for you guys. I want to give you an opportunity right now. I'm going to give you guys the floor. Feel free to shout out whoever you want. Do a plug for your gym. Do whatever feels natural. You guys have the floor. Go right ahead.
Okay, so we're gonna start running classes at night mostly, Monday through Friday, and maybe something Saturday afternoon. We're gonna have a schedule printed out soon, and on Instagram and everything. You can follow the gym's Instagram page at the Grappling Club Flatbush. That's basically all I got to shout out, to be honest. Someone get John a match.
But if you can't get in touch with the Grappling Club Flatbush Instagram, you can message me on my Instagram, Jon_Calestine, or Chris's Instagram.
It's just my name, Chris, Pagliuca. I'm private, but if you're looking for information, just request me and I'll answer your
And
question.
he likes when you send pictures of yourself.
No, I'm not the one who got an asshole picture sent to me. That was you.
That's a different story.
By a man.
It was. It's disgusting.
Don't send me those.
I would tell you that's how you know you've made it there, kid. Is when you get the real assholes. That's when you know you've made it in this biz. Well, listen, I'm glad we were able to do this. Nothing makes me happier than seeing good people put together gyms, and I wish you guys nothing but success. So here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna close this bitch up. I'll see you guys off air in just a second. But my thanks to Chris and John. Guys, go check out their gym. Go learn from them. I know if I was in Brooklyn, I'd go. So I'm just saying.
You're coming.
Yeah, come by if you're ever in New York.
There's a few things that are hindering that process right now. I would tell you this. I don't ever make it out. The last time I was in New York was 7 years ago. And that was because NBC took me there. That's it. That was the last time that I made it out to New York. So if I do make it out there, I obviously would come visit you guys. So just know that. All right.
Thank you.
Let me close this up before they try to ransom me.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate you guys. All right. Before we go, here's a couple quick reminders. We have shows all week. We've lined up the entire rest of the week, and I want to make sure I am getting these notes right before we go and call it a day here on the show. But yes, throughout the week, we have tomorrow Mike Wilson from Sin City Submissions, who will be joining us. Then on Thursday, we have Tony Ramos, who is going to tell us what the fuck he's doing taking on Nikki Ryan. And then Friday, we have just lined this up. I'm very excited for this interview. And I'll tell you why I'm excited. Because the gentleman who reached out to me is one other than Nathan Levy, who asked me to make fun of a photo or a video of his when he was fighting at LFA. And I said, hey, kid, I know who you are. Do you want to come on? He's like, yes. So we booked him. That's Friday at 2 p.m. But that is the rest of the shows this week. Give some love to our friends over at Noki BJJ Gear. Look at this. Shorts. You'll see me wearing these very soon because I'm fat. And that's not a problem. If you're a hashtag Corona weight champ, that's perfectly fine in this world. Go use the promotional code GrapplingHour15. Give some love to our friends over at Dodgy Collective. They make these rad shirts for us. And that's all I got for you guys. We will see you back tomorrow here at 1 p.m. Best Coast time. My name's Rafa Esparza. It has been a great day for grappling. We'll see you back on the mats eventually.